Welcome to Next Level Play Therapy, a weekly podcast dedicated to supporting the next generation of child and adolescent therapists to provide exceptional play therapy services. We'll explore all things play therapy to elevate your work with children and adolescents using the therapeutic powers of play. I'll discuss practical tips and ideas so you can provide a transformative experience for your young clients and make a real difference in their lives. So get ready to take your play therapy skills to the next level and make a lasting impact in the lives of children, adolescents, and families. Hey there, good morning. Today I want to talk about how do you recognize clinically relevant information in your play therapy sessions? This is a question that comes up all the time. And it's a really important question. So that's why I thought it would be a good topic to talk about today. It's one that I struggled with when I was learning play therapy a long time ago. And so I think it's part of your professional journey, learning how to use play therapy. And it's a really important thing to make sure you get good training for. I know I've talked to people in the past as just because I engage with people and we chit chat and I get nerdy about working with children, adolescents, and families. It's kind of my passion to make sure that it's done well. And there are times when I talk with professionals who are not trained to use play therapy, but they work with kids and they don't really fully understand what play therapy is, which is one of the reasons I like doing this weekly live stream to make sure that there's an understanding, because I think when we understand, then things make more sense about why it's important to get the training needed in order to work with children, adolescents, and families if you're using play therapy. And one of the things that I'll hear when I'm talking to people that aren't adequately trained and their competency skills using play therapy are not very strong because they're not adequately trained is, oh, I'll just figure it out. It'll make sense. Or, children use play, so they'll play it out. And then I'll ask them, well, but you're not really trained to know what to look for. And they'll be like, oh, well, I'll figure it out. And to me, that's a lot like trying to do talk therapy with adults when you're not even foundationally trained in how to do that. It's the same with children, and it's just a different modality. So that's why I thought today would be good to talk about, what do you look for? How do you know what to look for? So first, one of the things that I want to talk about is I'll just give an overview of what play therapy themes are, and then we'll go into a little bit more about understanding play themes and behaviors. So first, I would love to see who's here. What population are you working with? Where are you from? So go ahead and post that in the comments if you're joining me live. If you're watching on the replay, feel free to post in the comments. Where are you from? What population are you working with? Are you using play therapy? What are your questions about recognizing themes in the play behavior, in the play therapy sessions? What are your questions about knowing what to look for? That's a big one. We talk about this one a lot when I do play therapy consultation. We'll talk about this one in my Play Therapy Academy program when we meet for our online group meetings. This is a topic that comes up a lot. It's also one of the core competencies for becoming a registered play therapist. And that's a credential here in the United States through the Association for Play Therapy. One of the core competencies is, how do you recognize play themes? How do you understand play behaviors? And also developing competency using a play therapy theoretical model. And so those are all going to fit together. And that's going to kind of tie those together today as we're talking about this topic. So let's see who's here today. So we have Marab. Thanks. I tried to get in. I'm glad to joining from Facebook. Welcome. And we also have Steph. Good morning, Steph. And we also have another Facebook user, an RPT from Central Illinois, working with children, also supervising new therapists who are beginning to use play therapy, play-based interventions. That's awesome. I think it's really important I think that's one of the things that kind of in my stage of life and professional development is really passing on and helping the next generation of play therapists learn how to use this modality to continue helping children, adolescents, and families in the healing process. The nice thing about doing things online since COVID, one of the silver linings out of a terrible thing that happened globally is that as the mental health professionals, we've gotten a lot more proficient and comfortable using online formats. And so now as we're a lot more online and able to connect from all different parts of the country, we're kind of also finding out how play therapy is used in other communities and other places around the world. And I think that's really exciting. So awesome. So if you're joining me live, I am Cathi Spooner. Also, if you're watching on the replay, I'm Cathi Spooner. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a registered play therapist supervisor here in the United States. I've been in the mental health field for a little over 30 years now. And I love using play therapy. That's pretty much when I work with children and adolescents, that's pretty much the only modality that I use. And often have the adults that I've worked with in the past use. You can see my Santray miniatures behind me. So I've often had adults use some of these strategies as well as we're working through some really challenging issues. And we need another way to get at some of the roots of the problem without necessarily having to access those cognitive areas that are not quite ready or able to process the information. We can use more expressive arts modalities to help adults and adolescents process really challenging and painful information and experiences. So at this point, that's kind of where I am at this point, trying to pass along the information. So if you find these live streams useful, please feel free to like them and share them on your social media platforms. I will talk a little bit more about Play Therapy Academy. If you're interested, I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. I only have a few spots left and then we're full, and I won't have openings until I have openings. But right now I have 3 spots left. And then when they're full, then there won't be any more spots. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So let's get started. First, let me do a quick review of what play themes are. And if you're interested, I've done live stream episodes about this in the past. So if you're interested in watching some of the replays, it's probably easiest to find them on my YouTube channel. So it's Renewing Hearts Training, Cathi Spooner, Renewing Hearts Training on YouTube. If you want to go over there and find those, you just click on the live tab and you'll see all of the replays there. If you're in my Facebook group, then you can look in the featured section. I have them all pinned in the featured section. So if you're interested, I do have if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook group for child and adolescent therapists who are using play therapy and expressive arts. The Facebook group is called Play and Expressive Arts Therapy Playground. If you're interested, you can hop over there and join the group. You do have to answer all the questions, though. Otherwise, you won't be admitted. So I like to mention that because people oftentimes don't answer them and then they don't get in, and then I feel bad, actually. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, it's probably easiest to pop over to my YouTube channel to see all the live streams and I also stream into Instagram every week. So if you're in Instagram, you could probably find them in my grid. The easiest place is on my YouTube channel, I think. So first and foremost, what are play themes? Just an overview. Essentially, play themes are the ways children use toys and their state and their interactions that are giving you an indication of what it is they're working through. So that psychological, social, emotional kind of content that they're experiencing, and you can recognize that those themes based on what they're doing in the playroom. And that shows you what they're working through in the session. So if you think about it, children use play to communicate with you what's going on in their lives and what is happening in the play therapy sessions. They use play to help them make sense of things and to try out new things, new skills, to work through the things that are going on in their lives where they're experiencing some challenges as well. And so you get an idea of what's going on for them, what it is they're working through based on what's going on in the playroom, and we call these themes. The thing is, you make sure you're looking at these over time from session to session to session. You're looking at seeing how important it is for the child to work through these, because you'll see it in more sessions. You want to see how they're working through it from session to session to session. You'll notice with the themes, just like you would with adult talk therapy, there'll be like an ebb and flow in the process, just like an adult that talk therapy. The adults that you work with will come in each week and have kind of variations of what's going on. And there may be an ebb and flow, like it might get a little better and feel like it's less intense. And then it'll pop up again and you may see it again. You may not see it. You may see it once and then never again. So these are the things that you're looking at going on in the playroom through the themes. And you want to make sure that it's not just saying one session and then you have it all figured out. You're watching over the course of the treatment process using play therapy. One, how often, if it manifests and you see it over and over and over in the playroom, then you know it has more significance to it. And then you're also kind of seeing how that changes over time. And you look at that by identifying what those issues are that are going on in the playroom by recognizing the themes. So Marab says, from Kenya, I use play therapy interventions. Thanks so much for what you're teaching. You are welcome. That is so exciting that you're in your community as well. That's awesome. I think there was a big play therapy conference there in Kenya recently. I know somebody that was over there teaching play therapy, so that's awesome. So those are play themes. And why do they matter? Why is it important that we learn to recognize what is manifesting in the playroom and what is clinically relevant in that that's going on? So knowing what to look for also is important, because you want to know why it matters. And learning to recognize what children are communicating through their play allows you to better understand how to support them. And part of that is, depending on your play therapy theoretical model, is really going to, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this next, your play therapy model is going to influence how you're understanding the problem of what your clients are working through and how they're working through it. The play therapy model, you are entering into that play experience with your clients based on your model. And as you're entering in, and this is where that therapeutic use of self comes in, where you are, the way in which you show up in the playroom, the way in which you interact with your clients, all of that matters. It's going to be grounded in your model. And that as you're entering in and you're engaging with children and recognizing their play themes, you're using that to support their healing process in the playroom. And it provides you information how to track progress over the course of the treatment process. You're tracking change. You're tracking how they work through that change process. You're and better understanding your client based on how they engage with you, how they engage with the toys, statements they make, and how that shows up in the playroom. You're observing this as a play therapist that gives you a better sense of your clients and how they experience the world, how they work through the things that are going on in their lives. These are all important things that you're tracking because you're using that information to help them through whatever it is that they need to work through. So it looks like we have a couple more questions. Facebook user says, so while my kid load is increasing, thank goodness, I am on limited space for toys, and I have mostly kids who are at, near, or past the pretend play stage. So can themes be seen in board games? What a great question. I would say yes, and. And the reason I would say yes, and is because you're going to be able to see how they approach things going on in their lives. If you're playing board games, you're going to get a good sense of their social capacity, their social skills. You're going to learn how they manage stressors and frustrations. You're going to recognize their problem solving. All of these, what I just mentioned, all of these are therapeutic powers of play, meaning these are ways in which children can use play for healing. And as play therapist, this is an important part of your play therapy theoretical model, which is your model is going to show you how to help your clients access those therapeutic powers of play. So that's why I say yes, and yes, it can give you a lot of good information. And depending on the play therapy model that you're using, will influence how you're understanding what's showing up in the playroom, how the recognizing what those themes are. Also, understanding how that therapeutic use of self, how you're going to engage with your clients, how you're going to interact with them, how you're going to help them through that change process. So what you do with those board games is going to be heavily influenced by your play therapy model. So Marab says, yes, I was part of, oh, that's awesome. I'm sorry, I got excited. Let me read them out loud because these are eventually going to be podcasts. I'm going to be launching a podcast in January. So if it's already January, some of you may be already listening to this as a podcast. So Marab says, yes, I was part of the conference. I trained with Janet Courtney on infant play therapy. That's awesome. I'm creating infant play therapy awareness in Africa. That is so awesome. I was in South Africa back in 2008. I went with a very large group of social workers over to South Africa. We were in Johannesburg, and Cape Town, but one of the things that we were doing is looking at the impact of the AIDS epidemic and how to help children heal. So to me, it's kind of exciting that these things are going on in other countries, and we're really learning some best practices from each other about how to help children, adolescents, and families heal. So let me get back on track. Okay, so that's why do play therapy and behaviors matter. So how do you understand play themes and behaviors? So I'm just going to go over today, I'm going to go over just some general things to keep in mind. And these are things that really are going to be influenced by your play therapy model. And that's going to take training, and I would say some consultation, taking the training to learn the skills. And then you do the consultation to help you take what you've learned and apply it in the play therapy sessions. And so that's one of the reasons I created Play Therapy Academy. In Play Therapy Academy, I have some courses there to teach some of the foundational skills, and we do the online group consultation with case presentations each time. So we're learning from each other, but we're also using that format to learn, to get some individual time as well. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is how do you recognize themes, and really the importance of using a theoretical model to recognize themes and to know what's going on and what are the specific skills based on your model to help your clients through that process. That being said, there are some general themes that are across play therapy models that you'll recognize, like for example, and your theoretical model is going to influence how you make sense of them. So for example, my foundational training is child-centered play therapy. Prior to that was family therapy. So I would say I have both of those. And child-centered play therapy is going to understand themes a little bit differently than someone who's maybe an Adlerian play therapist or a Jungian play therapist or a cognitive behavioral therapy therapist. There's going to be a different nuance to them. And the way that we make sense of what children are communicating and working through in those sessions will be based on your theoretical lens. So making sense of play behaviors, statements made in play therapy sessions, how the children interact with the toys, how they interact with you, all of these are going to be influenced by the nuances of what's going on in the playroom. For example, if a child can, let's say you have a kitchen in your playroom. So you have food, you have pots and pans, you have the plates and the utensils and the cups to drink from. And so your client is using the kitchen area. Depending on how they use that kitchen area, will give you a sense of what's going on with your client. So, for example, a lot of times it's more about cooking food, and are they cooking and offering you food? Is the food to make sure you're happy, or are they cooking food for the babies in the playroom and they're feeding the babies? Are they cooking food and they are doing some solitary play, meaning they're not interacting with you, but they're only interacting with themselves? And so they're cooking food and they're eating the food themselves. Or I had this happen years ago. There was a client that I was working through it was a cooking show, and I was the sous chef, and the child was the master chef, so to speak, and teaching the audience how to cook food. And during the quarter, during the course of the play, the child was basically yelling at the audience that the audience wasn't as smart as the client. And so that's a much different way of playing than some of the other things, but you get the nuances based on what the child is doing with the behaviors, what the statements are that are being made, the interactions during the play with the toys. So basically, how are they using the toys, as well as their interactions with you. And you're looking at all of these, and that's going to help you figure out the play themes. So the play themes, though, as I mentioned before, heavily influenced by your theoretical model. There are some themes that are, I would say, general across most of the play therapy models. And the general themes across of the play therapy models, not all of them, but most of them, would be aggression and conflict, needs for nurturing and attachment, so that comfort, power and control, competency, like I'm capable, some mastery, and safety. So I would say themes that are across most of the play therapy models, and there are nuances to recognizing what the themes are and how the child is working through whatever it is they're trying to work through, or making sense of, or trying out new in the playroom. So you can get a sense of that based on what's going on in the playroom. So we have one more question. It looks like we have another customer comment. So Facebook user says, I pretend I'm top when I cook in real life. That's so funny. So I don't know if you guys are all, there's a show called Top Chef. Yes, I don't bother. My and I watch those cooking shows. I don't really bother. Those shows look really stressful to me. And but we do joke around. My husband and I joke around. Are we going to make Gordon Ramsay proud with our cooking? That's so funny. Yep. All righty. So let me do a recap for today. First and foremost, what are play therapy themes? They are behavior statements, interactions during the play therapy process that provide a clue about what it is that's going on with your client, what it is they're working out, what are they making sense of in their lives. And then secondly, why do play therapy themes matter? So a trained play therapist will know what to look for and how to make sense of it in the play, what's observed in the playroom, so that they can use that information to know how to help their clients through that healing process, and where they are in that process of healing. What stage of play therapy are they in? I would also add that as we're recognizing and understanding play themes, then when we're meeting with parents, it also helps us to know how to support parents in that change process. And just a little no, I don't think you need to tell parents what the themes are. I don't think you need to tell parents what their children are doing in the playroom. I think the way that looks, this is a question that comes up a lot, so I thought it would be good to mention it here. So you, as the play therapist, are observing what's going on in the playroom. You're recognizing these themes, and you're recognizing, where they are in the change process. The way that comes into play when you are meeting with parents is you're giving some information. Basically, generally speaking, keep it general. Like your child seems to be working through working through some aggressive emotions, which is good because he can do that in the playroom. and he seems to be working through some of the grief going on in his life. You can say general like that. And then what parents need you to do is support them. They want to know how they can help their child. They want you to support them so that they can make sure their child is okay. And so in those parent sessions, that's really most of where the focus is. So Suanne says, hi, Cathi. I work from child-centered play therapy theoretical model. My client recently started moving some of the big furniture around, reshuffling the room. Which theme would you say that would fall under? That's a great question. To be honest, there's a lot more that I would have to know about that. Like, here's some things for you to think about. Recently started moving some of the big furniture around. Do you get a sense in the playroom that it's more about trying to organize, have some power and control, and like I can move big things, or they are trying to get some organization in their lives? What is it about the big furniture? Like, is that your chairs? It might be that they are trying to empower and control. Is it done in an angry or aggressive way? Is it done in a kind of an exaggerated, I can't do this, I'm kind of helpless? So there are a lot of different nuances that you would look for in that and reshuffling the room. That's interesting. Anyway, those are some things to think about. I probably have to see it too to get a better sense of what's going on. Then we have Marab says one particular child wanted all the toys to himself. What would you say about that? Often happens. That's a really good point. That often does. I mean, think about it. It's toys. Children think toys are magical. I don't know. When I was little, I wanted all the toys too. When my kids were little, they wanted all the toys, any new and shiny thing. I think that gives you a sense of the child too, and kind of their personality wiring. I also think, what is this, a child that doesn't have very much, and the toys in the playroom are awesome and make them happy. There are a lot of things you could say about that. I would say to kiddo generally, like your playroom, it's not uncommon that they want your toys. It's not uncommon that sand tray miniatures find themselves leaving my office without my knowledge. So Suanne says tables and chairs, creating an office-like space. Oh, for a doctor's room. Okay. Yeah. So what are they doing for the doctor's room? What is the doctor doing? I would say, what is the patient doing? So here you're looking at, it's the doctor. So you're looking at some nurturing kind of healing, and you're also looking at the nuances around what's going on with that. So that's a great question. All righty. So let me do a quick recap for today. Oh, I think I already did. I got off track. So I think I did a recap for play themes, trained play therapists. And then the third thing that we talked about is really how do you understand play themes and behaviors, which we kind of just did with some of those examples. How do you understand them? And this is, to me, those also highlight really the need to get into the specifics of what's going on. There are so many nuances to looking at play behaviors, statements being made. What are they saying to you? What are they saying to the toys? Or what are they saying in their play? Interactions during the play therapy sessions with you, and how they're engaging with you or not engaging with you. And what do all of these things help us to understand about your client? What do they help us understand about what clients need, and how can we as play therapists support that during the play process? So that is it for today. If you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, I'll tell you a little bit about that if you're interested, because I do have a few spots left. And I have 3 spots left, and when those are gone, they're not available. And get more openings. So Play Therapy Academy is an online play therapy program. And in the program, there are twice a month online meetings where we do case consultation. There are case presentations. There's a schedule about who's presenting when, so that you can learn from each other, as well as my 30 years of experience, and that just that synergism of as a collective group is really amazing. Lots of support in the groups. We have some really amazing people in Play Therapy Academy. So in addition to those group meetings, there are also some online courses to support learning some of these core competencies of play therapy and getting those foundational skills. So regardless of what model you're using, you will have some of these basic skills, and you will also be learning how to use a theoretical model for your play therapy work with children, adolescents, and families. So in the comments, Dom is posting some links. If you're interested in finding out more about Play Therapy Academy, you can pop over to my website at rhplaytherapytraining.com. So that's Renewing Hearts Play Therapy Training, rhplaytherapytraining.com. Go over to you'll see the services tab, and then you'll click that and then click on the supervision page. You can read more about Play Therapy Academy there. If you're interested in scheduling a 30-minute video call with me, there's no charge for it. It's really, if you're interested in finding out more, you can schedule a 30-minute video call with me to talk more about how play therapy can help you. I think it's important to make sure it's a good fit for people. So that's why I like to make sure we have those video calls, just to make sure it meets what you need. And so you can schedule that. You'll probably want to do that sooner rather than later, because it is starting to fill up. Also, if you're interested, maybe you don't need the consultation part of it. Maybe you're interested in some of the courses. I do have some courses available. Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Foundations, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Case Conceptualization, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Treatment Planning. And in December, I'll be launching another course called Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Progress Notes. These are available if you don't need Play Therapy Academy. These are also available. You can pop over to my website on the courses page, and you can see those. If you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, these courses are part of the Play Therapy Academy program, so you don't want to buy them if you're really thinking about doing Play Therapy Academy, because they'll be included in the Play Therapy Academy. But some people don't need the consultation, so I wanted to make them available for anybody who would find them useful. All righty, so that is it for today. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you find this information helpful, please like it and share it across your social media platforms, and I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Next Level Play Therapy. I hope you found the discussion valuable and gained new insights and ideas to support your work helping children, adolescents, and families heal. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps to improve and reach more people who can benefit from this information. Remember, play therapy is a powerful tool for healing and growth. Whether you're a new play therapist or experienced, I encourage you to continue your learning journey to unlock the potential of play in your own work and relationships. If you have any questions or topic suggestions for future episodes, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on social media and visit my website at Renewing Hearts Play Therapy Training to stay updated on upcoming episodes, trainings, and resources. Thank you once again for listening to Next Level Play Therapy. Until next time, keep playing, learning, and growing.